In this lecture, for Introduction to the College Experience, we will be looking at time management. So last week you were able to record your events in a couple of days and wrote down what activities you did. And this week we're going to look at those individual activities and place them into some quadrants. But first, one of the stories that you were reading in your textbook talked about procrastination. And the story was called The Procrastinators. And I just wanted to give you the definition of the word procrastinate. Procrastinate means to push forward to tomorrow, so to put things off. So in the story about the procrastinators, we are looking at two individuals, Ricardo and Tracy, who both had self or time management issues. But which one do you think had a greater challenge in time management or self-management issues? Ricardo or Tracy? On the discussion board for the procrastinators, you are going to choose who you think has a more difficult self-management or time management problem, and then you're going to give that individual some advice on how they can better manage themselves or better manage their time. Next, we're going to look at the quadrants. And Stephen Covey published a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And in his book, he looks at the actions that people take, those actions of people who want to manage their lives so that their priorities and goals are accomplished. So he developed this quadrant management system as a tool that focuses on two different characteristics. And those characteristics are urgent and important. So the first thing we have to look at with all of our actions and our activities that we take every day is how important are they? How important are our activities? And we determine whether they're important or not, whether they're helping us to achieve our goals, meeting our goals, helping us to achieve the things that we value. So in terms of our time, we have to decide if actions are important or not in order to achieve our goals and dreams. The second characteristic that we look at is urgency. So whether the activities that we're doing are urgent or not. Urgency is a measure of time, and it describes when we are doing something. So actions that must be taken immediately, such as when we have a paper that's due tomorrow. So using those two characteristics, important and urgent, Covey set up these 4 quadrants. So we're going to look at see what each quadrant means. In quadrant 1, you can see that it's both important and urgent. So quadrant 1 are things that have to be done immediately. This is when we're in a problem mode or crisis mode, and we have to do them in a certain period of time. So again, waiting to complete an assignment the night before it's due, when your child is sick and you have to take them to the doctor immediately, those are both important and urgent, quadrant 1. In quadrant 3, we're looking at things that are urgent but not important. And usually these are things when we are reacting to the priorities and the expectations of other people in our lives. So when you're working on a paper for school and your child wants to play a game now, that is important. However, it's not important at this very moment. It's important that you set aside another time to play a game with your child, but not at this very moment. Another example of quadrant 3 would be when you're working on a paper and your telephone rings or someone sends you a text and you feel like you have to respond to it immediately. If we move over to quadrant 4, we're looking at things that are both not urgent and not important. So in quadrant 4, these are considered time wasters or busy work. And we have to make an intentional effort to limit our activities that fall into this quadrant, because we only have 24 hours in our day to reach our goal. So we really have to limit these things that are not urgent and not important. Watching television is one of the most common activities that falls into quadrant 4. Playing on Facebook, playing games on your phone, playing video games, all of those things would fall into quadrant 4. Finally, quadrant 2. Quadrant 2, where we have important things, but they're not urgent. So this is what Covey calls the heart of effective personnel management. And our textbook author, Skip Downing, says that this is where creators spend their time, in quadrant 2. So quadrant 2 actions are those that enable us to take care of ourselves, our bodies, take care of our relationships, and the things in our lives. So when we exercise and sleep and eat well, we're in quadrant 2, and we're less likely to get sick, which would put us over here in quadrant 1. When we spend quality time with our family members, with our children, with our significant others, we are maintaining our relationships, less likely to have stressful situations, which again, put us in crisis and problem mode over in quadrant 1. When we maintain our cars, again, another example, quadrant 2, getting your oil changed on time, rotating your tires, all of those are quadrant 2. But if we wait, we could end up in quadrant 1 and have a car that's broken down on the side of the road. Again, quadrant 2 is where we want to be. Creators are in quadrant 2, and they are doing things that are important to reaching their goals. However, they're not being pushed for time. So as you evaluate your activities from the last week, you can see what quadrant you would put your different activities into. Again, remembering that we want most of our activities to be in quadrant 2, the zone, where we're being creators, we're managing the things that are important to us, but we're not being pushed for time.